Welcome back to SwitchCorner. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Coma 2 Fisher Sisters on the Nintendo Switch. This 2D horror sequel, is it more of the same, or does it actually improve beyond and build upon what its predecessor created? Well, hit subscribe if you're new here, join our growing community, and let's get started. So for those that never played the first game, here is a quick summary. You played as a student who fell asleep at his high school, and upon waking up, you're in what is essentially an alternate reality. There's also a demon that looks a lot like your teacher out to kill you, so you basically set out on this horror adventure to survive and escape. The Coma 2, we pretty much get the exact same thing, but with just enough that it feels like an exciting continuation of that theme. Here we're now actually taking on the role of one Mina Park, a student at Sehwa High. Awakening again in the middle of the night, you quickly establish this isn't the world you know, and there's a whole lot of danger stalking these halls. Where the Coma 2 absolutely nails it though, to survive you have to not only navigate now the school, but tons of locations beyond it, like think a police station and a local market. Not only do they essentially build upon the formula, but exploring these new and twisted locations is so much more intriguing, as it builds upon both the lore but introduces now a huge cast of twisted enemies out to kill you. On entering this one, I never even considered how much of a great extension idea it could be to take it outside the school setting, but now I can just see it was a great move. So gameplay then, and here we have a 2D horror experience. Simple enough, move left to right, enter different locations and process across what are multiple floors. Alongside obviously walking, you'll have a dodge mechanic, sprint, and also a lighter. You will actually gain new skills and inventory items, but I'm not going to discuss them due to spoilers. Like any horror game though, expect to be using these, I'd say sparingly. The lighter, great, you can see more and interact with items within the world, but enemies can also see you easier. Also the sprinting and the dodging, notice the stamina meter at the top of your screen under your health bar, something you want to pay very close attention to, I promise you. As you progress, not only will you obviously be uncovering the mystery, but there's also a whole manner of things out there to hurt you, from bodies that fall from the ceiling or some that hack your ankles, to particularly menacing enemies that physically chase you, where you'll need to either escape, which is not easily done, or find somewhere at your location to hide. These moments seriously nerve-wracking, because when you do find a hiding spot eventually, it's actually going to force you to follow on-screen quick time events to hold your breath. I'm not normally a fan of quick time events personally, but this is one of the rare occasions where I actually prefer the inclusion of them, as it just puts so much pressure on you in a great fashion. Outside of running around like an idiot trying to survive, then you're going to want to take advantage tools and items that are at your disposal. These can be found within the environment, or they can even be purchased from things like vending machines. Here though, just think food that's going to cure your health, water that's going to cure your stamina, antidotes will cure poisoning. Here, the key to the game, the key to survival, is always having that next thing available to you. So for example, you're being chased by an enemy, you're going to want to boost the stamina because you don't want to be caught. That's a particularly nasty way to go. Then to top it all off, there's a whole lot of collectibles, from notes which simply build upon the lore of this world, to a wealth of parts you can use for crafting. The earliest one you can get, it's actually a taser, and this, it can't be controlled directly. There's no combat in this one at all. It's very much a run and hide experience, but it will come in useful. Let's say one of the title Fisher Sisters gets hold of you, that would normally be an instant death. Here it allows you the chance for a quick time event to basically taser them in the face. And that's really the whole package, but as someone who went into the original experience not expecting the formula to work honestly and getting a nice surprise, I can say here they've now fine-tuned the whole experience to a noticeably better level. Mina's moveset, it's more fluid and provides a few options to give you a little bit more freedom in your escape. The map, and there's a lot of them here, it now updates and shows locations, something that was seriously lacking first time around. And then, as I've said, these new locations, the Coma 2 feels like it's paying as much attention to its world building as setting up the scares. There's almost like a fantasy feel to it all now that may just intrigue those outside of just horror fans. Now problems, well, it's fixed a few for sure, as I say, movement, the map, but a couple still remain. Most noticeably, sometimes positioning yourself over a doorway or staircase or whatever it may be can be a little like finicky, especially frustrating when you're running away from an enemy and it leads to your death. Also, some of the enemies are a little bit cheap, like the bodies that you can't see that just randomly drop from the top of the screen. Feels like they've done it simply to artificially raise the difficulty, and it's more frustrating than anything else. Then I'm not sure still how I feel of the instant deaths from the Fisher sisters themselves. While most of them slash at you and knock that health bar down gradually, these they grab you and it's job done. I get the idea, the ultimate like enemy almost, but it was annoying at times as it threw me back to the last time I saved, and I think they could have been a tiny bit more forgiving. Coma 2 takes what the original did and for the most part improves upon it, and for fans of the series, that's really all you can ask for. So graphically speaking then, what a stunning world the team at Devspresso have created. Well, it starts, I will say, very similar to the original thanks to that like same school setting. They quickly push you into the streets, the police station and all manner of locations. A particular standout for me, the market, which has some seriously impressive lighting effects and colour work to bring a depth to the image and location. It's just the style though, it's incredibly crisp and it very much feels like anime brought to life. Then our lead Mina and the host of characters and enemies we get to interact with not only have their own, unique style, but there's some really nice animation in here to top it all off. The monsters and demons particularly, they're creepy, especially those that slash at your ankles and kind of like gyrate all over the place. My only complaints visually, sometimes it can be a little difficult to notice an item you need to pick up thanks to like the tiniest of notifications on the screen. And then the intro, weirdly, the opening cinematic, even the menu and the Devspresso logo, don't know why, but they're incredibly pixelated, and that's kind of a low note to start what actually turns out to be absolutely stunning. When I first loaded it up, I got this sense of dread that this was going to have, visual issues, and thankfully that never happened. Could do with some tidying up though, at just that intro for sure. So last up then, audio, and there's not too much to say honestly, but what we get is very, very good. Music here first, it's largely like drones and atmospheric, and it achieves what it needs to, but it's the sound field itself where the Coma 2 really comes out on top. Well, there's not a huge amount of audio effects here, it just excels in one key area, and that's the sound of the monsters and demons approaching. I was on the edge of my seat at times, feeling like they were just off screen so I couldn't quite see them. These moments were more intense honestly than when they were actually on screen. To round this out then, as they chase you and slash at you, you can expect like demonic screams and effects that will no doubt reinforce and send shivers down your spine that you don't want to meet these individuals face to face. So overall, the Coma 2 was exactly what I'd hoped for, an improvement upon the original while building upon its core idea, and while the gameplay is pretty much identical, it's the world they place it in that now makes it so entertaining. Going from location to location just hooked my curiosity, and this time it wasn't just the idea of simply wanting to survive, but now I wanted to learn more about the lore and the locations. It's a pretty big compliment if you ask me. Then on the gameplay, it's still as tense as ever, providing this 2D horror experience that's quite unlike anything else out there. Now it still has issues, and that's mainly down to the cheap hits it can take at your health bar and some of the more obscure like item locations. Look, this improves upon the original. It's about 40% cheaper than the original on launch, a rare thing to see honestly, and horror fans, especially Korean horror fans, this is well worth a look. In fact, with these locations, I'd even go as far as recommending it to almost like fantasy and adventure fans alike if you don't mind the tension that naturally comes along with this package. The Coma 2, like its prequel, is no doubt destined for a cult status, but it's a serious improvement over that original, and it's, in my opinion now, the time to give it the love it deserves. While I probably would have rated the original like a 6 out of 10, this is a giant leap in the right direction, and it's getting today a great 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching. If you're new here, hit subscribe, join our growing community, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.